a beautiful line. In the world of business, strategy is the map and operations are the journey. Without the map, you are lost. Without the journey, you never arrive. This quote beautifully encapsulates the relationship between strategy and operations, highlighting that while strategy provides direction, operations are what make progress possible. With this, on behalf of the Indian Institute of Management Amritsar, I, Manvi Maheshwari, along with Ishan Khurana, welcome you all to the 8th Annual Operations and Strategy Conclave Sankshetra. Sankshetra is a unique opportunity to engage with industry stalwarts, exchange ideas, and gain valuable insights into navigating this dynamic landscape. Today, we have the privilege of hosting esteemed panelists and our keynote speaker who will share their expertise on the evolving dynamics, emerging opportunities, and transformative practices in the field of operations and strategy. Let us gear up for an inspiring session that promises to spark ideas, ignite passion, and leave us with a vision to drive meaningful change in the business world. Stay tuned and let's make the most of this incredible gathering. Sukharthina kuto vidya, nasti vidyarthi sukham. Sukharthi va tvajet vidyam, vidyarthi va tvajet sukham. Those who seek comfort cannot gain the knowledge, as learning demands effort, discipline, and sacrifice. A comfort seeker must give up the pursuit of knowledge, while a true student must abandon the comfort to dedicate themselves fully to learning. This show highlights the principle of trade-offs and strategic prioritization, key concepts in operations and strategy. In any decision-making process, achieving one goal often requires sacrificing another. Success in operations or strategy demands focus, discipline, and often the willingness to let go of immediate ease or convenience for long-term goals.
With great pleasure and enthusiasm, we would like to introduce today's theme for the strategy panel: competing on agility, strategic flexibility in fast-moving markets. This theme delves into the critical importance of adaptability and resilience in today's rapidly evolving business landscape. With disruptive technologies, shifting consumer preferences, and volatile market conditions, organizations must embrace strategic agility to remain competitive. This theme equips participants with insights into leveraging dynamic capabilities, fostering innovation, and making swift, data-driven decisions. By mastering the art of strategic flexibility, future leaders can navigate uncertainty, seize emerging opportunities, and drive sustainable growth, ensuring their organizations thrive in an ever-changing global economy. And with that, we are pleased to welcome Ms. Tushya Singh and Mr. Archit Agarwal to present today's theme.
Good afternoon, distinguished guests, industry leaders, and our esteemed colleagues. This is Tushya Singh, along with my colleague Archit Agarwal. We welcome you all to the 8th edition of Sankshetra, the annual strategy and operations conclave of IIM Amritsar. In the words of Charles Darwin, it is not the strongest species that survive, nor the most intelligent, but the ones most responsive to change. This timeless wisdom perfectly captures the essence of our theme today: competing on agility, strategic flexibility in fast-moving markets. As markets become increasingly volatile and uncertain, agility has emerged as a critical driver of success. Businesses that can adapt swiftly and strategically not only survive but thrive. Throughout this session, we'll delve into frameworks, strategies, and real-world examples that highlight how organizations can harness agility to create competitive advantages and achieve sustainable growth. Let's begin by exploring why agility has become indispensable in today's fast-changing business landscape. Now, I would like to invite Archit to shed some light on the topic, the need for strategic agility in volatile markets, that promises to redefine how we navigate uncertainty.
Strategic agility is the ability to anticipate and respond rapidly to market changes. In today's volatile environment, where technological advancements, market disruptions, and shifting customer demands occur at a breakneck speed, agility is essential. Take the example of Zoom during the COVID-19 pandemic. Their ability to scale rapidly to meet surging demands showed how agility can turn a short-term challenge into a long-term opportunity. Without agility, companies risk missing out on key opportunities or falling behind competitors who can act faster. Now let's differentiate strategic agility from traditional flexibility. While traditional flexibility focuses on adjusting to immediate challenges within existing processes, strategic agility is about proactively anticipating and adapting to future changes. For instance, Kodak stuck to traditional flexibility by continuing to focus on film, whereas Nokia was unable to pivot away from feature phones to smartphones in time, missing the opportunity. In contrast, agile companies like Apple were able to adapt quickly and lead in innovation. Let's understand the role of strategic agility with the help of Amazon's case study. Amazon provides an outstanding example of strategic agility. Initially, in the early 2000s, Amazon faced resistance when it tried to move beyond its core business of book selling. The company was experiencing significant challenges in its growth trajectory. However, by embracing the concept of dynamic capabilities, it turned this around and diversified its business. Firstly, dynamic capabilities. Amazon sensed the potential of cloud computing early, seized the opportunity by launching AWS, and transformed its business model into a tech powerhouse. Secondly, rapid decision making. Amazon's culture supports making swift yet informed decisions, enabling the company to seize market opportunities before competitors. Their data-driven approach and decentralized decision making empower teams to act with agility. Moving on, proactive innovation. Their ability to innovate quickly has seen them not only dominate e-commerce but also lead in cloud computing, AI, and now logistics. Lastly, leadership's role. Jeff Bezos' vision and leadership were integral to this transformation. He created a culture where failure was embraced as a part of the innovation process. Amazon's leadership empowers teams to experiment rapidly and adapt to changing market conditions. This strategic agility has led Amazon to become one of the world's most valuable companies, surpassing a $1 trillion valuation mark. Amazon's success shows how leveraging agility, innovation, and rapid decision-making can lead to remarkable growth and market dominance. Now let's dive deeper into 4 essential pillars of dynamic capabilities: sensing, seizing, transforming, and adapting, that together form the backbone of strategic flexibility in fast-moving markets. Each of these capabilities play a distinct yet interconnected role in enabling organizations to thrive amidst change. Sensing is the ability to identify changes in the market, whether through emerging trends, potential disruptions, or new opportunities. It involves gathering market intelligence, analyzing data, and staying attuned to shifts in consumer preferences and technological advancements. This capability is crucial for anticipating future needs and staying ahead of the competition. Once opportunities are identified during the sensing phase, the next step is seizing them. This involves making timely decisions and allocating resources, whether financial, human, or technological. To capitalize on those opportunities, organizations must act decisively and strategically to ensure they gain a competitive advantage. Transforming focuses on decoupling internal processes, operations, and resources to support long-term growth business to rethink the structure, workflows, and strategies to align with new market realities. Transformation ensures that the organization remains agile and scalable as it evolves. Adapting is the continuous evolution of strategies and processes to stay relevant and competitive. It involves reevaluating decisions based on real-time market data, experimenting with new approaches, and refining existing strategies. Adaptation ensures resilience and the ability to navigate uncertainty effectively. Together, the capabilities of sensing, seizing, transforming, and adapting form a holistic framework for strategic flexibility. These steps enable organizations to anticipate changes, act on opportunities, restructure effectively, and remain agile in dynamic environments. Mastering these capabilities is critical for long-term success and resilience in today's volatile markets. Moving on to proactive innovation, which involves embedding innovation into the core strategy, staying ahead of the market trends, leveraging emerging technologies, and fostering a culture of experimentation to anticipate and capitalize on market changes. Firstly, we have embedding innovation into core strategy. Innovation becomes central to the business strategy, ensuring sustained relevance and competitive advantage. Secondly, staying ahead of market trends. Companies monitor and predict shifts in the market to adapt their products and services proactively. Then, leveraging emerging technologies. Organizations embrace new technologies to disrupt traditional industries and lead in innovation. And lastly, fostering a culture of experimentation. Encouraging teams to experiment and learn from failure accelerates continuous innovation and adaptation. In essence, by embedding innovation, staying ahead of trends, leveraging technology, and fostering experimentation, businesses position themselves to anticipate and lead market changes effectively. Knowledge management plays a critical role in building strategic resilience. By effectively capturing, sharing, and applying knowledge, organizations can make faster, more informed decisions that keep them agile and responsive. Starting with harnessing and managing market insights. Companies capture and analyze real-time data to guide their strategies and improve decision-making. For instance, Zara uses real-time sales data and customer feedback to quickly adopt its product offerings and inventory, ensuring it stays aligned with current fashion trends. Now let's understand adapting market shifts through knowledge. Organizations use advanced technologies like AI to analyze patterns and predict market shifts. Walmart, for example, leverages machine learning to forecast consumer demand and optimize supply chain management, ensuring they can quickly adjust to changing market conditions and consumer preferences. By effectively managing knowledge, companies can respond to shifts proactively, innovate faster, and maintain a competitive edge in an ever-changing market. Up next, Tushya will delve into how rapid decision-making serves as a driver of competitive advantage. I would like to invite Tushya to elaborate further.
Let's explore the OODA loop. Observe, orient, decide, and act. A proven framework for rapid decision-making in dynamic markets. Here's how Tesla effectively applies each step. First, observe. This step involves gathering real-time data. Tesla uses sensors and IoT systems across its production lines to continuously monitor performance and identify any inefficiencies. Next, orient. In this phase, Tesla analyzes and contextualizes the data. For example, it evaluates market trends and consumer preferences to adapt its strategies dynamically. Then, decide. This is where Tesla selects the best course of action. For instance, it may decide to adjust production schedules or prioritize manufacturing a high-demand vehicle model. And finally, act. Tesla implements these decisions swiftly, ensuring changes are made in real time to optimize production and maintain its edge in electric vehicle market. This ability to cycle quickly through the OODA loop allows Tesla to stay agile and thrive in a competitive, fast-paced industry. Resource allocation becomes especially important when markets are growing rapidly. Let's break this down into three key areas: prioritization, risk balancing, and efficiency. Prioritization. Google prioritizes high growth areas like AI and quantum computing. By focusing resources here, they capitalize on emerging trends while maintaining their core products. Risk balancing. Apple balances its investments in high growth areas like wearables, where the stability of its flagship iPhone line. This ensures it can capture future opportunities without overcommitting to risky ventures. And lastly, we have efficiency. Unilever excels at achieving operational efficiency by using agile teams to minimize costs by launching sustainable products. Their efforts to reduce waste across supply chains lead to cost saving and enhanced market competitiveness. These approaches show how that successful resource allocation involves smart prioritization, balancing risk, and maintaining operational efficiency. Scenario planning is a forward-thinking approach that helps businesses prepare for uncertainty. By using tools like the pest analysis, analyzing political, economic, social, technological, environmental, and legal factors, organizations can identify key forces shaping their future. This framework ensures that they are ready to adapt no matter how the market evolves. Let's break this process down into simple, actionable steps. Once the key drivers have been identified through pest analysis, the next step is to define plausible scenarios. For example, the scenarios could be Scenario 1, rapid technological breakthroughs that disrupt existing market conditions, or Scenario 2, economic turndowns that slow innovation and investment. By defining these scenarios, companies prepare for both optimistic as well as pessimistic outcomes, enabling them to act quickly when market conditions change. After defining scenarios, it is crucial to assess the potential impact of each scenario on the business. Using the PESTEL framework, businesses can evaluate how each factor, like regulatory changes, economic shift, or technological advancements could affect operations, finances, and long-term strategic objectives. Understanding the impact helps businesses anticipate risks and opportunities, ensuring readiness for various market conditions. Once the impact of each scenario is assessed, businesses need to develop strategies tailored to each possible outcome. For example, for a scenario of rapid technological advancements, companies may prioritize R&D investments, while in an economic slowdown scenario, the focus might shift to cost optimization and risk management. Tailored strategies ensure that organizations are prepared for any market condition, based on insights gathered from pest analysis. Regular monitoring of pest indicators is key to adapting scenarios and strategies. By tracking shifts in political policies, technological advancements, or economic indicators, businesses can adjust their strategies in real time. This ongoing monitor allows companies to remain agile and ensure their strategies stay relevant as the market evolves. Once the scenario begins to unfold, it is crucial to implement the predefined strategy. For example, if political changes result in new regulations or if a technological breakthrough occurs, businesses must act swiftly to implement their strategies. Effective execution ensures that organizations can seize opportunities and minimize risks as market conditions evolve. By integrating pest analysis into every step of scenario planning, businesses can build resilient strategies. This enables organizations to adapt to changing conditions, remain agile, and continue to drive sustainable growth in an unpredictable market landscape. Now let's delve deeper into how the ADKAR model is a structured approach to overcoming resistance to change and building strategy flexibility. It involves 5 steps that help organizations address challenges like fear of change or lack of skilled talent. Let's break it down further. The first step is awareness in overcoming resistance to change. For example, Cisco recognized that agile adoption required clear communication. By educating employees on the benefits of agility, Cisco raised awareness about why the change was necessary. Then, desire. To make employees willing to embrace change, companies need to show the personal benefits. Cisco created incentives and emphasized how agility would improve their work-life balance and team dynamics. Thirdly, we have knowledge. Training plays a critical role in successful change management. Cisco offered workshops to help employees understand and implement agile methodologies. This helped address knowledge gap and build necessary skills for successful agile adoption. Followed by ability. It's not enough to know what to do. You need the ability to apply it. Cisco enabled its teams to work on agile projects, providing hands-on experience. This practice made the transition smoother. And lastly, reinforcement. The final step is ensuring that the change sticks. Cisco celebrated small wins in adopting agile practices, fostering a culture that reinforced continuous improvement and innovation. By using the ADCAR model, Cisco was able to reduce project delivery times by 30% and enhance collaboration across teams. The model proved instrumental in making agile a core capability within the organization, which led to higher productivity and stronger team cohesion. To ensure that agility supports long-term goals, businesses must track and measure outcomes across 4 key areas: financial, customer, internal processes, and learning and growth. Financial. Measure the cost saving and ROI from faster decision-making processes to ensure agility translates into profitability. Then, customer. Track customer satisfaction and retention by evaluating the speed and quality of responses to customer needs. Internal processes. Monitor time to market and process efficiency to ensure that internal operations are aligned with innovation and operational goals. And lastly, we have learning and growth. Focus on employee development through continuous training to foster long-term agility and drive innovation across the workforce. By integrating these metrics, organizations can align agility with both short-term performance and long-term strategic objectives. To wrap up this insightful journey on strategic agility, I now invite Archit to deliver the conclusion and share the key takeaways from our discussion. Over to you, Archit.
In today's dynamic business environment, agility is the defining factor for success. As Peter Drucker aptly said, the greatest danger in the times of turbulence is not a turbulence, rather it is to act with yesterday's logic. Organizations that can adapt to shifting market conditions, integrate dynamic capabilities, and foster a culture of proactive innovations are the ones that thrive amidst uncertainty. By embracing frameworks like scenario planning and leveraging rapid decision making, businesses not only navigate change, but also turn it into an opportunity. The success stories of Amazon or Tesla illustrates that strategic agility is more than just a competitive advantage. It is a cornerstone of resilience, innovation, and sustainable growth. As we conclude, let us commit to embedding agility into our strategies and operations, ensuring we are prepared to lead in fast-moving markets. Thank you.
Thank you, Tushya and Archit. Your presentation was truly informative and thought-provoking. True strategic leadership is not about navigating the present. It's about shaping the future. It's not just about the decisions we make, but the vision we inspire and the pathways we create for others to follow. The greatest leaders are those who adapt, innovate, and lead with the courage to redefine the rules of competition. With this spirit of strategic excellence, allow me to introduce our keynote speaker, Mr. Debra Pratap Gupta, Director and Board Member, USV Limited. Sir, a distinguished chemical engineer from IIT Kharagpur, has built an illustrious career in operations and supply chain management. Starting with Unilever India, he gained his expertise in manufacturing and supply chain functions, establishing a foundation in operational excellence. He later held key leadership roles at Coca-Cola and Reckitt Benckiser in Delhi, driving regional and national supply chain operations with strategic vision and innovation. In 2005, he joined USV Limited in Mumbai as Head of Operations and Board Member, solidifying his reputation as an industry leader. Mr. Gupta further expanded his influence with global leadership roles at UPL Limited and as an Executive Board Member at Pidilite Industries, overseeing comprehensive business operations. After retiring sir, it is with utmost reverence that we humbly request Mr. Devabrata Gupta sir to deliver the keynote address.
Good afternoon. Pleasure to be here and want to thank the faculty, student body, the industry interaction committee for inviting not just me but all the esteemed panelists sitting right here for this occasion. Lovely to be here. It's a lovely city, nice and cold, very different from where I came from yesterday. I noticed that the temperature in the morning was 5 degrees. The day before, Mumbai was 37 degrees. So it took a little time adjusting. So that's really the pace of change that one gets to. I went out for a walk, got a cold. so you have to be prepared. Really, you have to be agile, even in your personal lives. So that's what it is. So as we move on. Just pretty much like the weather patterns, the supply chain demands also keep changing. And I do remember my earlier days, somebody mentioned, I started off with Unilever as a trainee on the production floor. Life was good. There were no changes for something like 10 days. 10 days you were producing the same product. You could produce Surf, you could produce Rexona, you could produce Lux. For 10 days, 15 days, no change. I mean, the production guys would produce what they wanted to, and the sales guys would sell exactly that. Today there is demand forecasting, there is demand planning, there is demands which are constantly changing from different geographies, and that's become the norm really. That's become the way of life. And then there is diverse business models. You have, you talk about it a little later. There are e-markets. There are changes in which people do business. There are product versus service models which have come into it. There are different service metrics which we never heard of, when we started, initial days. So, and on top of it, which was not so important, was the importance of compliance. I don't think any of the esteemed panelists heard of ESG when they started to work, right? Neither did I. ESG is a big word, and it's a big thing today. Compliance is a big thing, and we'll talk about it in a moment. So, therefore, there's a need for all of us, especially people who have worked in the industry, who are working in the industry, people like you who are wanting to get into the industry, getting to support businesses. It's important to understand how things will continue to change in the way you work, the way you have to contribute. There are various markers like resilience, like costs. How do you measure cost? At what level do you measure costs, and so on and so forth. So these are the few things which are constantly changing. Yeah. So it's not just the business environment which is taken a, I won't say taken a hit, it's sort of become more complex. But it's your customers also who have become different. They've become more demanding. I think somebody was mentioning just now. The customers are not satisfied with just one thing which you had offered to them. And they want a variety of things. They want a full basket. They want, if you earlier were selling them A, now they want A plus B plus C and D as well. And all at a competitive cost, at a better customer advantage, if I may use that word. And therefore, you have to understand that where they are coming from. They want like somebody mentioned a Zepto or somebody mentioned a Blinkit. They want like the material like yesterday. Okay, and they want visibility like Amazon provides visibility to you. And how do you deliver all this? So you deliver all this by making assumptions of what scenarios can develop. your business can change. I mean, you can be in a current business, in a certain business model, servicing a set of customers. The same set of customers may vanish the next day, and you wouldn't know where to go to unless you have planned out scenarios of addressing a different customer set, addressing a different business set, and therefore a very different kind of supply chain model, which is very different from what you are doing now. Believe me, we've changed. In our generation, we saw this change happen over, say, 10 years, 15 years. You'll probably see it in 2 years. That's the pace. And don't be surprised if your current company, which is manufacturing maybe consumer goods, gets into something completely different and starts excelling at it. Right? So that's the agility here is all about being prepared about such eventualities. Even from a business point of view, also an individual point of view. And by individual, I'm pointing towards all of you who will get into these dynamic environments. Today, you saw everyone, I think, here was privy to what the pandemic did to us. But it's not only the pandemic which is, something which is a disruptor. There are many disruptors. The Israel conflict is a disruptor. Yeah. The Russian conflict is a disruptor. There are economic disruptors. Your energy prices are constantly going up. Right? You're paying more for the same thing in a business. How do you, and your customers are wanting to reduce prices all the time. They're not forgiving. You can't go back to a customer and say that, look, what happened, my prices went up. So there's somebody for a Zomato who delivers in half an hour, there's a Blinkit or a Zepto who delivers in 10 minutes. Guess what? So there's always somebody who's going to be more and more agile, more and more able to deliver a better customer set. Okay. So therefore, the idea of agility here is to be able to figure out or anticipate what can happen to your business, what can happen to your product or service offering. And your product offering can actually change from a product offering to a service offering or a mix of it, some kind of a mix of it, right? For instance, to give you an example of the paint companies. Earlier, paint companies like Asian Paints would just sell paint, right? Now, Asian Paints comes to you and says that, look, hey, I'm going to paint your wall. So I'm going to give you the painter, I'm going to give you the paint that I manufacture, I'm going to clean up the place after, you're done. Service plus product, right? Completely different model. Therefore, again, different ways of delivery with the same set of talent who was manufacturing a paint in an Asian Paints factory work in this scenario? The answer is a clear no. So your talent, your ability, what you know, you might have to unlearn actually at the end of it. So how do you move across this? Right. A very key area in this is something called a business continuity plan. I don't know whether you run it or it's part of the curriculum. I quote a small phrase from a book that I read some time ago. The book was apparently originally written by an old Chinese general. It's called The Art of War. Some of you would have read of it, by an author called Sun Tzu. One phrase that I really took away from there is, he said, in times of peace, plan for war. And in times of war, plan for peace. It is relevant to the industry today. It's relevant to our businesses. When everything is hunky-dory, don't sit on your backs. Right? Plan for disruptions. When everything is not good, and I saw it actually happening in a few companies that I worked for. During the time of the pandemic, the chairman who I reported to was completely unfazed. I asked him, I mean, aren't you bothered that, there is disruption, your factories are unable to work? So he said, होगा, वो तुम्हारा काम है. My job is to make sure that the company goes forward. And during that time, during those 2 years, we built 15 additional factories. That's the kind of capacity that we invested in a disruptive time, in a time which was difficult for everybody. But this gentleman was unfazed. He actually prepared for peace in a time of war. He said that I need to grow, because when we come out of this cycle, there are people who would not be able to deliver to the customer, and we should be in a position to deliver to the customer at that point in time. And this is exactly what happened post-pandemic. We grew at a rate of something like 15%, 20% top line. Not funny for a company of 12,000 to 13,000 crore size. It's difficult, but that's the vision that a person should bring to the table. So therefore, while you are surviving those storms, you have to look at what are you doing? How are you going to not just weather the current storm, but how are you going to plan for the future? What's coming at you, right? And how are you going to improve yourself continuously through your, elevating your operational efficiencies? How are you going to enhance or differentiate as a product or a service offering? How are you going to continue to remain compliant? So compliance is not optional anymore. For people who think that compliance is optional, I have bad news for you, right? Okay, so that's, so there we come to compliance. So, one of the things that people shy away from compliance, and one of the reasons that everybody thinks, and there's a general buzz in the industry, that compliance is expensive. Now, this is one thing I just don't understand. If compliance leads to, or sustainability leads to, or ESG leads to reduction in fuel usage, if it leads to reduction in power usage, if it leads to reduction in the kind of incidents or accidents that happen in a factory or a manufacturing organization, how can compliance be more expensive? It's just beyond me. So what I'm urging you, this slide is all about, while you can read about ESG, you can read about what it does, but essentially where the industry needs to adopt, and a lot of people are actually adopting it, is to make sure that you do a better job in terms of your efficiencies. You do the right things. You continue to do the right things. You continue to improve upon what you're doing. And believe me, it's a forward-looking statement when I say that, because compliances are going to make your business financially healthier. You're going to be your stakeholders, primarily your shareholders, your people who are investing in your business, they're going to be more kind towards you. Your customers are going to want you better. They will be willing to pay a higher unit price for all these products and offerings that you have, knowing that here is a compliant organization, and I'm okay to pay $5 more compared to a non-compliant organization. I don't want to be associated with a non-compliant organization. Sorry, that's not it. Okay. So the other dynamic that is happening in the market is the level of preparation that your competition is coming with. While we talked about changing business models, we talked about emergence of Amazon, we talked about emergence of the digital space, we talked about emergence of whatever. But there's something far more deeper than this which is happening in the market today. What is happening is the very close intertwining of different partners. What are partners? Partners are all stakeholders, people who do business together, right? So your vendor and you do business together. Your distributor and you do business together. Your retailer and the distributor do business together. As long as you understand and there is a complete seamless intertwining of what happens and how they understand and how they are all bought into the overall ethic of the business, it makes life much simpler for you. Otherwise, everybody is looking at his or her own demands, own logic of operating. So I want to make more money of the business. I want to cut out my next person in line, or I want to the vendor is always thinking of giving you a higher price. You're trying to sell at a higher price. Nothing wrong about it, except that this is all very short term. The moment you have your what they call the skin in the game, the bigger game, then everybody is looking at a longer term prospect of how you can actually build a complete ecosystem. And believe me, if you build an effective ecosystem, that is something which your competition will find it very, very difficult to compete with. Because then a synergy of all the actions that you have taken have led to just in terms of costs, not just in terms of compliance, but the whole construct. Yeah. So that is the way that most companies are going, and they are. You've seen backward expansion, you've seen forward expansion. People are doing all of that and more, and trying to build a larger system. Because the larger you get, the worse. It's that bad news for the competition. It's very difficult to uproot you as a result, right? You talked about emerging business models. You talked about different changing business models. I gave you that example of a paints business, what Asian Paints does. Incidentally, the other example, a brilliant example of what Asian Paints does is about it short-circuits certain parts of the traditional business model. There are no distributors. Asian Paints incidentally delivers direct from factory to retailer. So guess what? There's roughly a 6 to 8% cost cut. If you do the math in terms of revenue of A-Paints and multiply it by 6%, the number is staggering. Right? So, these are the things that people, the leaders, do well in advance. And this is not done yesterday. This was done way back. And they've continued to get this advantage over a period of time. So therefore, there are no fixed agenda, there's no fixed ways of working. There are just these innovations which you need to bring to the table so that it enhances your effectiveness, it enhances your stability. You're always 2 steps ahead of the competition. To my view, that's what agility is. Not to react, but to anticipate as to what's coming your way and be ready for it. Okay, reaction is not such a great thing. Anticipation and being ready for what's coming your way is probably the right thing to do. Bad news here is that there is, as we speak, there's a critical talent shortage we see in the market. And at various points in time, we've all tried to recruit various kinds of talent. The problem here is with the ever-changing kind of demands. Like, in the paint model which I said, the same person now is probably out of work because the same person has to manufacture and also be able to go and paint. A difficult one. Right? So this is just an example, but this is what will be demanded of people like you as you go into the workforce and join businesses. Because you have to be able to understand, not just work, but understand how an emerging model is working. And the new model will emerge every 6 months or a year. And how you can participate, how you can be part of the new model, and how you can add value to the new model and get innovate in it is going to be really your challenge for you as you go ahead. So, okay, so we just told we have, okay, 5 minutes. 5 minutes. Okay, so transformation, there's a need for it, and in the landscape that's changing, you need to be supported by technologies, you need to be supported by a robust IT infrastructure and so on and so forth. But again, effective planning, being able to foresee what's coming your way is really the need. Yeah. So, okay. This one is a slightly important one, and I want to talk about this. Every organization has its own set of risks. All governance committees, board governance committees set up specific risk assessment issues. The slide will be with you. So there's a list of risks, and I think you should be, every organization should understand what risks can happen. There could be IT-related risks, there could be operation, there could be safety risks, there could be competitive risks, and so on and so forth. But it's something to be cognizant about. I think that pretty much ends my set of slides. Yeah. So I want to close here by thanking you, all of you, for your as we go into the Q&A session a little later after the panel discussions. Thanks very much again.
We extend our heartfelt gratitude to you, sir, for sharing your enlightening and profound insights. Your presence at this event is truly cherished. Thank you. It is now a pleasure to introduce the panel for today's conclave, starting with Mr. Subramanian Chidambaran. Mr. Subramanian, Chief Strategy Officer at Cummins India, is a distinguished leader driving strategic initiatives aligned with the company's vision while nurturing top talent for its global operations. With over 15 years of distinguished experience, Mr. Subramanian has held pivotal roles at Siemens Limited and McKinsey and Company. At Siemens, he orchestrated global strategy, digital transformation, cost optimization, and process excellence initiatives. At McKinsey, he spearheaded transformative programs and crafted corporate strategies across industries such as logistics, cement, oil and gas, and engineering. Notably, he contributed to the esteemed McKinsey report, India from Poverty to Empowerment. An alumnus of IIM Lucknow and VJTI Mumbai, Mr. Subramanian holds a postgraduate diploma in operations and strategy and a bachelor's in electrical engineering. A thought leader in operations and strategy, he has published widely at national and international levels. Passionate about Sanskrit and Carnatic music, he holds an MA in Sanskrit and is pursuing a PhD on Indic Insights for Modern Leadership at Chennai Vishwa Vidyapeeth. As a visiting faculty at the University of Mumbai, he teaches Vedanta and Purans, blending ancient wisdom with modern leadership perspectives. Would you please join us on the stage, sir?
Up next, we have Mr. Rakesh Nara, Director of Operations at Xerox. Mr. Rakesh Nara is a seasoned leader with nearly 25 years of experience across ITES, BFSI, and telecom, excelling in strategic and organizational roles. An economics graduate His expertise spans strategy formulation, business planning, operations analysis, and process re-engineering, with a proven track record in global markets, including APAC, the US, UK, and Europe. Having worked in India and Australia, Mr. Nara brings a unique blend of local insight and international acumen. A proud Delhiite and Chandigarh resident, his cultural depth and global perspective make him an inspiring speaker and thought leader. Would you please join us on stage, sir?
Next on the list, we have Ms. Srimati Sridharan, Director at BNY. Ms. Srimati Sridharan, a distinguished leader who oversees wealth solutions, global strategy, products and platforms, and purchasing aids, excelling in operations, product management, market research, and more. Her leadership has driven strategic innovation and business alignment. Ms. Srimati's exceptional career includes leading Oil Bridge India in delivering award-winning campaigns in marketing and communications. A FINRA Series 7 and 25 license holder, she has earned prestigious accolades like the BNY Star 2022, Purchasing Manager of the Year 2019, and the DEI Championship 2021. As co-executive sponsor of the Women's Initiatives Network in India, she passionately champions women's leadership development and has designed impactful leadership programs. Beyond her corporate achievements, she is a lover of history and a poet in English and Tamil. Please join me in giving a warm and respectful welcome to Ms. Srimati Sridharan, an inspiring leader and global leader.
Up next, we have Ms. Nidhi Sethi, Director, Strategy and Transformation at NetWest Group. With over 18 years of experience, Ms. Nidhi Sethi is a seasoned strategy professional specializing in global business transformations, operational excellence, and M&A in financial services. An alumna of IIT Ghaziabad and Sri Ram College of Commerce, she began her career with JP Morgan and HSBC, gaining expertise in investment banking and advisory. Currently, as the Global Business Transformation Lead for Physical Channels at NetWest Retail Banking, she drives strategy and business management for India-based teams while championing LGBT+ initiatives and contributing to NetWest India Inclusion Council. Previously, Ms. Sethi held leadership roles at S&P Global and IHS Markit, where she led strategic programs in diversity, equity and inclusion, location strategy and operational transitions. Recognized for her innovative approach, she is committed to fostering diversity as a driver for creativity and transformation in the financial services and fintech sector. Would you please join us on stage, ma'am?
Next member of our panel is Mr. Rahul Kumbar, Head of Strategy Performance and Insights at Diageo. Mr. Rahul Kumbar is a visionary leader with over 15 years of experience in digital transformation and business agility. At Diageo, he has led data-driven initiatives, optimized performance metrics, and streamlined supply chain operations. Previously, at Dell, he gained expertise in financial services, supply chain management, technology, and consulting. Mr. Kumbar is known for fostering high-performing teams and driving organizational growth through innovation and strategic leadership. Passionate about technology, innovation, and fostering a data-driven culture, he is committed to organizational transformation. Beyond his professional endeavors, he is a fitness enthusiast and adventurer, having trekked to Mount Everest base camp and actively enjoys biking and trekking. Would you please join us on the stage, sir? Once again, I would like to call Professor Swapandi Balora and Professor Pinaki Sudarshani on the stage to felicitate our esteemed panelists with a token of appreciation. like to take forward the course of today's conclave by inviting the panelists for the discussion. I would request Ms. Nidhi Sethi to take the lead of the conclave and commence today's discussion.
Thank you, everyone. And good afternoon, everyone. It's really exciting to be here amongst the esteemed faculty, the lovely student body, enthusiastic students, and of course my distinguished co-panelists. So welcome, everyone. In today's world, as we've heard from Sir as well, that most of the industries are in a flux. They're swayed away by technology advancements, changing customer preferences, changing colleague needs within the organization, and also seeing a lot of new product innovation. In such times, companies who are agile, who are really adaptable, can create change while staying very open to their fabric and purpose would be the ones which will continue to thrive. So with that note, I think I'll just kick off this panel discussion on this exciting topic. Of course, the way we'll go about it, we'll, ask questions from our panelists and then across topics, and also urge them to share some real-life examples in how they have really made a change in their respective organizations, and also with regards to the careers that they've changed and the processes that they have optimized, right? So with that, I'll just kick off with my first question. And if I can take the liberty of going to yourself, Subramanian, first. There's been a lot of talk about strategic agility and the capability to really be ahead. But change is not just something new, right? We've always been asked to be prepared for change. So how do you think that this is different from the traditional flexibility that we've been, amidst?
So first of all, thanks a lot for this opportunity to be part of this wonderful gathering here. So I think even as the team was explaining the difference between flexibility and agility, I think it was very beautifully put from a definition perspective. But when you look at how we deal with this in organizations, when you say flexibility, like for example, when you set up a factory, the traditional thought process is that it should be able to take capacity at least 20% more, or it should take some null that comes 20% less. So when you build something, even in the traditional way, you always build for some kind of variability that it should be able to deal with. This is the kind of change that we have been used to. Many of the industries, like for example, the industry that I come from, or the company that I come from now, which is Cummins, we have been in the manufacturing of engines, which has not changed probably for the last 80 to 100 years. So these kind of industries have remained hugely constant. So their flexibility is all about within a set of constancy, what is the flexibility that you can operate on for minor changes. But when you come to agility today, and when we are talking about strategic agility, we are talking about a huge change in the external market. We are talking about huge change in the ecosystem itself that you are operating. These weren't changing so rapidly as they have been changing probably over the last decade or so. Especially the point that Mr. Gupta highlighted around this compliance ESG environment has actually brought a lot of perspectives into this space. So for companies like ours, which have been operating, say, in the traditional fuel space, or many of these organizations that operate in the traditional fuel space, be it the coal, the oil and gas, petroleum, it's been a point to decide, okay, now what? What is our identity in this green space, everything trying to go green? How do you represent what is the identity of your organization? What is the very survival of your organization? Now that is now a question about strategic agility to say that how do I change my course? Because it's questioning my very sustenance as an organization. I think that to me is the big difference that we are seeing now versus the traditional flexibility that was there within a set boundary that was more constant.
That's very, very valuable input. So it's more the external factors that are impacting us at a much higher pace than which was previously more internal. So can I ask yourself to add some more on this, Rakesh?
Thank you first of all for the opportunity, and I'm enlightened by the thoughts of the leaders of the panel. So I was listening in very intriguingly to the students when they were presenting the definitions of various models and then flexibility and agility. And I was intrigued by you, sir, when you talked about the pace of change, and again you touched upon the same topic. To put it simply, I would say the pace of change, this statement actually kind of captures the essence of pace of change today. Sir mentioned something of the sort that what used to take about 10 years takes about 2 in today's time. I tell my team and my colleagues in my office, what's relevant today used to be irrelevant tomorrow in the past. But today, what's relevant today may not be even relevant by the end of the day. And that's the pace of change we're talking about. We work on various technologies, we got to keep. So he touched upon the flexibility and agility, and I would just like to expand a little bit more on that. So agility is also about pivoting to uncharted territories. As he was also mentioning about, and sir also talked about, gave an example of Asian Paints. Paints was traditionally the business of Asian Paints company, but then getting into a completely different proposition, which is painting using that product and doing a service business. It's a completely different proposition, and that's what agility is about. If you are ready to make that commitment to a paradigm shift to your long-term strategy, that brings about the agility in your business in future. There are a lot of examples. I think the students are, as many of us, are still fascinated by the Teslas and the Amazons and the Googles. We also have to look into India. India is at the cusp of leading what agility would actually mean. And there are numerous examples. I'm not sure if most of you have heard about. There was a small time company named Alok Industries. How many of you have heard about Alok Industries? 1, 2. And how many of you have heard about Google? That's the difference I'm talking about. So Alok Industries was manufacturing handcrafted cushion covers and pillow covers and were exporting before COVID. COVID challenge came, their revenue I think used to be about 3,500 crores. Their revenue went down to about 1,800 crores. The company made a paradigm, they saw that as an opportunity. They made a paradigm shift. They looked into their strategy of why only this, and they immediately went into using their existing capability of being able to manufacture. They went into PPE kits manufacturing. And within a year, within the same year, their revenue went up to 7,000 plus crores. So we've got numerous examples within India also to be able to see how companies in India are experimenting with strategic agility compared to traditional flexibility. So I just wanted to quote an example to begin this discussion, because I think we as an Indian deserve a platform and a stage to talk about strategic agility as well. So thank you.
Very well put, Rakesh. And I would just add, I hear a lot of senior technologists within NatWest talk about that this is the slowest we'll ever be. So I think you've just kind of supported that with a very good example. So let's move on. So my second question would be for yourself, Rahul. Would be knowledge management is another key element in building strategic flexibility. How can organizations really harness and manage knowledge effectively such that they're able to anticipate and respond to changes effectively?
Am I audible? So thank you for having me here. Knowledge management is the most important part of the strategic agility. All the companies should invest a lot in holding the talent. So the biggest challenge what we face here is due to the strategic agility and the volatility in the market, right? We are facing a challenge with a lot of disruption in technology, which is putting a challenge on the data what we gather. And it also pushes us to think of what skills we have in order to handle those challenges. Now, when the strategic initiatives what you're working on are changing in like less than a year, right? You need to enhance your skills as well, and you need to come up with an approach where you grow up your internal talent as well as gaining the expertise on the strategic initiatives what you're working on. So it's a balance you have to maintain understand how do you want to grow the knowledge in-house compared to what you can outsource. Because it's a very volatile world, and when you have to adapt to the change quickly, you cannot be just dependent on growing everything inside, and you cannot be dependent on all the external experts. So it's a hybrid model. What we suggest and what we also operate is where you focus on growing the talent in-house for your core competencies, which is going to help you drive your strategic goals for the long term. You diversify into going for outsourcing on some of the initiatives which are very repetitive, or maybe to offload your peak workloads, right? And this helps you to diversify in hiring or grooming the talent by having multiple sources of your multiple sources to get the talent, right? And overall, it brings an external expertise to the industry, to your company, which is going to help you sustain through the volatility. So it's important to have a right balance. Now this balance will differ from an industry to industry and a market to market. There is no right formula. It's something which you have to adapt, you have to study, analyze, and then come up with the right approach.
Very well said. Thank you so much, Rahul. I think all the companies, being sector agnostic, are short on resources, and I think they should all have a strategy around buy, build, or outsource, right? But with that, I'll come to yourself. Srimati, if you would want to add your valuable inputs on that question, please.
Sure, thank you. So I'm just adding on to whatever Rahul mentioned, right? So he specifically spoke about talent and knowledge within the company and how do you retain, right? So especially when you choose to outsource, how do you sort of ensure that it comes back as well, right? But I would like to add on that and say that knowledge also comes from customers. So I was just reading about, of course we all use Microsoft products, right? And earlier whoever had used that, you guys had used these days. So at least 2006, 2007, until then they used to release updates once in 2 years, 3 years. Right? I don't think we have that anymore. Right? So that's an example. We get like weekly, once a week, 2 weeks. Right? So you get these updates. I mean, these are products that we use every day, right? And how do we sort of keep this cycle going? Knowledge comes also from your clients. How you use this user feedback is very important. And I think especially as the organizations grow big, right, it also adds to the complexity. And that is exactly when we should ensure that the knowledge sort of entire data set comes into one place, right? And today we have the power of AI to harness, right? So how do we use artificial intelligence? I'm sure all of you use Gen AI every day to do your assignments, right? So how do we use all of that to tap into the knowledge base? And how do we translate that to different things? For example, I know there are case studies where we hear a lot of these contact centers getting questions, right? And how does that translate to your sentiment analysis, for example? And how does it sort of translate to service enhancement? You basically understand what the client is going through. What is the demographic of the clients? Certain things we are aware of. For example, if it's a financial organization, you know when the tax season is, you know when the retirement distribution has to go out and stuff like that. But there are certain other things that impact the clients, and when they get really frustrated about that, needs to come back to the service team. And so that you are able to make decisions quickly. And again, when we are talking about agile organizations, it is basically reducing the hierarchy, right? So you make that concise so that you're working in smaller cross-functional teams that are able to make decisions faster, and it's also easier to share knowledge and to bubble up ideas, right? So it's easier to hear ideas, to listen to ideas from your teams when your team is smaller. So I'll just give one quick example and I'll go on. So I recently moved to a new location. So I'm basically from Chennai, and then I moved to Pune like 6 months ago. And one interesting thing is we're building out the team there. it's like, we've had like 80 to 100 people recently join the Pune office. And interestingly, everyone seems to know each other, irrespective of which function you come from. You share knowledge much faster, right? Whereas in Chennai, we have like 800 people sitting there in my organization, and of course we do try different things, but it's easier when it's a smaller team. And I think we need to make some conscious efforts to make our teams smaller so that knowledge is retained.
Those are a couple of brilliant points you made, and I think I would just take a moment to emphasize that, of course, in today's time, data has its weight in gold, across industries. And coming from financial services, and beautifully Srimati has put together that data in itself speaks volumes about what the customer trends could be, what are customers really asking for, right? That is one. And the other, where data plays a very important role, specifically in financial services, is to essentially establishing fraud markers, right? So because fraud with digital, fraud is a very key component where you have to pay aspect. And I also have a great example where I was at the Infosys Training Center in Mysore a couple of months back. I did a training in AI for leaders, and they shared a very important stat that they have an AI for all program within their organization. So it's not only for the tech leaders or the tech teams, but also for the HR, for their support staff, for everyone. And I thought it's a beautiful way of establishing knowledge within your organization and just making it so future ready. So it's not always about technology, not always about processes, but also about the ways of working and how really you are, spending or emphasizing on making your teams to be much future ready. So that's a little bit of my perspective. Now I'll come to yourself, sir, for your inputs. Now that we've talked about resources and how we can establish knowledge, resource allocation can be really challenging because we talked about we are always short on resources and costs. How do HR companies really allocate resources effectively such that they can capitalize on the emerging trends in a more faster way?
I'll refer to resources maybe in two parts. The first part will obviously be people. People probably the most important resource that exists in an organization of any size, any complexity, any capability. I think the biggest challenge that organizations face today is if a person is doing well in a certain job, in a certain assignment, there's a huge reluctance to move that person to from the existing manager to the person who's going to accept him or her, etc., etc. So just as an anecdote, we're trying to move one of our supply chain guys to an international business support, and so he came and said, I'm a manufacturing person, so how can I do this? So my party was, were you born in the factory that we hired you? So if not, move there. I think that's the important thing that people need to be able to do for themselves, and I urge all of you to be agile in that way as well, to be able to do and learn multiple things. Believe me, when you put out your CV 10 years later, your CV is going to look that much richer if you've done multiple roles, right, in multiple businesses. The second piece is organizational resources that, and yesterday we built systems, processes, sites, offices to deal with one kind of product or service. I think that mindset has completely changed. We build now with multiple capabilities. I was giving an example of the factories that we built during COVID, and one of the clear directions to the team was that this factory has to be able to handle at least 5 different products of 5 different business verticals, no less. If you haven't designed it that way, go back to the drawing board and redesign. So the resource limitation is going to stay. How you manage that resource, whether it's brick and mortar resources or people resources is the element of agility that you need to bring to the table.
Thank you, sir. And as you mentioned, like everyone wants to achieve more and less. So I just add in by just summarizing what you mentioned is like one is you want to obviously invest in cross-functional teams. You have to plan ahead. I also wanted to give an example of how companies can kind of realign resources immediately. So one is have more fungible skills, which sir also advised, like the more fungible we are, the more adaptable, and hence we can pivot very easily to wherever the organization is guiding us. Let's take the example of Netflix. Like each one of us sees a different personalized page. Don't you think Netflix does a lot of data research, customer study behind the scenes to identify which products or which genre of products should I invest in really specific to emerging markets versus the West? So these are very intuitive kind of ideas if they are data driven. So, both these points, invest in fungible skills and be data driven. I think that would help companies and ourselves also be better employees and be ready for future. I will again come to yourself, Subramanian. This talks about the speed of decision making really. In a volatile market, decision making is often a deciding factor. How swiftly can we take decisions? So how, in your experience, have organizations streamlined their decision-making process without compromising their core values, or general organizational vision?
Yeah, I think decision making is a very, very critical part, and many of us here would be there to give you stories of how decision making challenges come into organizations as it keeps growing. When it is a new, small, nascent organization, it's a much easier thing. As Srimati was saying, 80 to 100 people, fine. The moment it becomes 800 to 1000, it goes to the next level. The good part is growing, but at the same part, there are a lot of complacencies, redundancy, bureaucracies, all of this that get introduced into the organization. So how do you maintain the decision-making agility becomes very critical for the organization to keep reassessing. Multiple ways of dealing with this. First is, so let me tell you, the decision-making speed by itself is not a given. It's not that you have to take a decision on everything at this moment. That is also not necessarily the case. In many cases, we have seen that the more you take time to take decisions in some cases is actually worth it. Rather than trying to be hasty and trying to make a call right now. I can give you an example of something that is still on the news buzzword, which is hydrogen. Green hydrogen is probably something that you are seeing as a buzzword every other day in the newspaper. There was a time when, 3 years before, when this whole buzzword started, when everyone wanted to invest into green hydrogen. Everybody was making plans, they were hiring into green hydrogen. After a year, it slowly started ebbing down. Now it is like, do I really want to get into it? What do I get out of it? It's still being thought about. So, if you decide to make investments, there are people who made investments 3 years before. Now they are trying to figure out how do I get the return on my investment because they are not having demand. So, we need to trust our business instinct. There is a business instinct that is there in a leader. That is like the base. What does it really say? Is this a decision to be made now or should we wait? So that is the first aspect definitely that we need to think. So decision making doesn't need to be always right now, immediate. But for things that you need to take a call, which then is like the train has left the station but you don't take a call, for those how do you make decisions fast, this is something that you have to think within the organization, that the organization redundancy or the dead weight doesn't pull you down. Here various organizations have tried different models to say that the leader himself or herself delegates the power of authority. In many organizations you will see that, especially in MNCs, you will see that there is a regional axis, there is a functional axis, there is a global axis. You have to go through meander through all these people to finally take a call. But in many cases, leaders have understood or thought through this whole thing and said, fine, for this, the decision maker is XYZ. Somebody else could be an advisor or a recommender, but the decision maker is decided, or it is decided. That person will take the call. So you are delegating your authority to somebody else to say you have the power to take the call. Once that happens, things become much easier. People have clarity who to go to. Who should be the person finally taking the call? So there are some such tools and techniques which various organizations have adopted to ease the decision-making process. Also in terms of the speed of decision-making, I would say that multiple things aid. I think we spoke a lot about data analysis. Data analysis is an important aspect of decision-making. It aids how to take the decision better, how to take the decision faster. The better data analysis you have, you have better tools or better hunch for you to say, am I going the right way? But I have always believed that more than data analysis, it is the business gut of the person that should really take the higher end in taking a call. Maybe because I've been also in consulting, so that has already been something that always overpowers me when I used to give a recommendation to the client, and the client will be like, good, that is nice, but I will do this. So I used to always wonder, when the data is saying, what is making this leader think differently? But when you think in the long term, you will see that the leader was actually right. Because the leader sees something in the way the market is reacting, which probably the data is not showing. Because data is still dependent on your historical analysis, what people have said about, the trend analysis and stuff, which is good up to a level. But beyond that level, the thing that really flips the whole thing is your leader's instinct or your business instinct. So if all this has come together, I think the decision making becomes much more richer and impactful.
Thank you. That's very well put through. Thank you. We would really love to hear from yourself, Rakesh, if you could build on that, please.
So I think what you were mentioning about, sir, was trying to maintain that balance between speed and efficiency of a decision making. I would like to point out a phrase that I always like about, whenever I'm put in a position to make a decision. Time is money, right? We all agree, right? And everybody appreciates a crisp bill, and that's the problem. So when everybody wants a crisp note of 500 rupees, and you have to produce it fast, that's where the paradox comes in, that's where the conundrums are, that's where the confusions get created for a leader. And what he talked about was the qualitative aspect of a decision making. So data tells you, data is funny. I'm sorry, to anybody who's in analytics and all, I always say that data is funny. You can present it the way you want your decision to end up. And a leader is somebody who's actually been able to see through and make the right call. So, and then any agile organization. So unfortunately, I come from a company right now which is huge, has all the problems Subramanian sir talked about. So bureaucracy is one. You have to go through multiple functional heads and the tower leads and all to get a small approval, which I could get in my previous company within a day. All these complexities add more to my decision-making capability, right? So, more an organization is agile. It basically empowers a leader to be more calm under pressure. They can maintain their calm under pressure. When I say calm under pressure, it's not about, high on something and not giving a damn about what's happening. It's about being able to contemplate every aspect of what they are going to do. And not just a knee-jerk reaction. So as I talked about companies, we all saw some examples from the students as well. Companies pivoting into different, propositions completely. Asian Paints was an example. Zoom, somebody talked about Zoom from the community. They all pivoted, but it was not a result of a knee-jerk reaction that COVID provided us. It was a challenge. A lot of companies did have an opportunity, but then because of the lack of agility in the companies or organizations, they could not make those brave strategic shifts. Zoom was one. I think Zoom was more of a flexibility that they could ramp up their servers at the point of opportunity, but companies which completely moved into different. I'll give you an example. How many of you know what Xerox does? This is something really interesting. How many of you know what Xerox does apart from doing Xerox? So Xerox in 2021, when the whole world was facing a shortage of ICU grade ventilators, Xerox immediately partnered with a medtech company called Wateron Medical Technologies, and we started manufacturing ventilators, disposable ventilators. We in fact sent a few hundred to Indian government as well from the US. And when I say we, I'm not an Indian, I'm talking, I'm a Xerox employee talking. So Xerox sent those ventilators to India as well, donated to India as well. So those came in as a fresh breath of air to a lot of countries, a lot of hospitals who were struggling. And that's what, the agility of the company to be able to, not do what they do, but being able to experiment with something that could perhaps be the future for us. Right? We could also be one of the big medical manufacturers in the future, but that's what I think that agility provided us that opportunity to experiment something that was very brave. If you would ask me today, we are not doing that because the times are different. We are now acquiring IT companies rather than venturing out doing something great. But then we know the capability is there. Now that we have experimented, sir was talking about that moving somebody from supply chain to production is a big problem in resource allocation. We had similar problems, but then it wasn't that great because we have been having these cross-functional teams to deliver different transformation projects, and that helped. So just wanted to give some examples to you guys to understand how agility actually helps you to not just act upon a situation, but also create a business opportunity out of a challenge, and then that helps most of the times what we have seen.
Thank you so much. Rakesh, yours and Subramanian's comments made me actually reflect on a beautiful thought that decision making is not always about being right. It's also, there's a lot of newer markets that you have to explore. Also, there will be some failures that you would get your hands on to learn. One such failure that I personally was amazed at was, I'm sure everyone knows about Lenskart, right? So Lenskart started its own stores called the Vision stores, right? They tried to be very cool in the market, offering offline stores, but with online try-on capabilities. And it was a big failure for them, right? So it's not that they had disrupted a market, they created a market, they knew the customers, and they thought it would be an easy sell, but it was not what the market was ready for, right? So some decisions would also kind of come back as a learning is what my reflection is, really. Thank you so much. Now I'll come to yourself, Srimati, and this is something which all of us are equally passionate about, is about leadership. In the context of strategic abilities, what role do you think leadership plays in embedding a culture of agility across the organization?
I think that's the most important part, right? Because as a leader, so there's this thing that people say, right? So if you want something to stick to your audience, repeat it at least 7 times. Right? And especially for organizations that are undergoing a transformation, especially for organizations that are shifting their strategic priorities, it's important for them not to just have it at the top, but to help it seep down to the last level. Right? And again, going back to the agile organizations, keep it as flat as possible so that you can seep through much faster. Right? And leadership should take that upon themselves to ensure that everybody is educated on whatever transformation is happening. Right? So if it is a cultural change, there are organizations that have transformed over periods of time. I come from a company that is 240 years old. So when people ask me, I tell them, how does a company sort of stay for so many, like 2 centuries and over, right? And it's because the company reinvented itself again and again, and especially for companies that have gone through various, global scenarios. So you might have learned about 2008 recession. Okay, so companies like this, they've seen right from your 1929 depression to 2008 crisis to the blockchain and artificial intelligence and everything. You continue to innovate yourself, right, only by getting the buy-in of your people, and as a leader it is important for you to talk to your people and at the same time listen to them, right? The challenge for a lot of organizations is when they don't come across as a genuine speaker, right? Your people develop trust with you only only when your action and your words sort of align, right? It is as simple as that. And if you're able to crack that and get to your people, I think that's that's your starting point. And again, it is also about, since we talk about agility, right? So in agile organizations, when you have smaller teams, you're also empowering your smaller teams to take their own decisions within their scope. Right? I know Mr. Subramanian spoke about the business instinct, the decision-making instinct. So instinct sort of develops over a period of time. It comes with practice. So will I have the instinct on day one? Maybe yes. Right? But maybe it sharpens and it gets enhanced over a period of time. When you get into this practice of making decisions, you're actually preparing leaders for the future, because in agile organizations, each of those pods are actually acting as an individual organization, because they are empowered to make decisions individually within the pods. So yeah, I think leadership plays a very crucial role in developing that culture in the organization.
Thank you so much, Srimati. And I would love to hear from yourself, Rahul, if you could add on to that, please.
I think Srimati covered beautifully, right? So what a leadership should do in handling the culture of the company. So I would just add to it that leadership should act responsibly to bring the change. They should champion the change first and then cascade it down. And it's very important to have a change management plan. Right? That's where most of the things break. When you adapt to a situation, you come to a conclusion and you make a decision. But if you don't have a good change management plan, it doesn't cascade down to the lower levels of our executives or consultants who need to work on that change. So it's very important for everybody in the organization to know what is their contribution to the goal and how they are going to pivot the business to achieve those goals. Right? So you need to have a proper communication plan which clearly explains your objective and how each of us is going to contribute to that objective, right? So this is one of the things which a good leadership should do in having the strategic agility in terms of setting the right expectations as well.
And because this is topic of leadership, so we would definitely like to hear from yourself.
So the two words I'd like to use in response to the question. The first word is humility. I think the leadership needs to be humble. Like I said, you need to listen to your people, you need to listen to the voice of dissent. Just because your chronological age is more than a lot of your people who report to you doesn't mean you are the smartest. You have to be able to listen, because there are people who can come up with smarter ideas than you. The second word that I'd use is perseverance. I think there was a quote probably by Mr. Ratan Tata said that we don't take right or wrong decisions. We take decisions and make them right. So that's it. Just perseverance, take a decision, run with it, make sure that your team runs with it, make sure that your team is bought into the decision, and you will succeed.
Thank you, sir. And because this is an extremely crucial topic, I'd like to summarize what my esteemed co-panelists have mentioned. So, of course, there has to be a clear communication of vision. You should lead by example. As sir mentioned, a leader should be humble. He or she should define purpose. So on that, I just wanted to quote, I am a big fan of Indra Nooyi, and in one of her interviews, if you read, she always talks about that, my teams would come back with very, very new products to me, and I would just question them back by saying, can you make it sustainable? Can you make it, aligned to our purpose of a healthy drink? I know that she represents PepsiCo, not the healthiest option, but she tried a lot to actually establish sustainable practices within its processes and plans to make it, effective. So those are a couple of things which I think are of paramount importance. Now, once again, come to yourself, Srimati. So the next question I have for you is, how can businesses integrate a proactive approach to innovation, and what strategies allow organizations to not only keep up but also anticipate market changes ahead?
Okay, so again, when we're talking about organizations, smaller organizations, it's easier for them to create change, is what I think, right? But whereas for larger organizations, because you've built in complex systems and it's important for you to adapt to newer situations. So while talking about innovation, it doesn't have to be, only your research team, your market research team, or anybody else coming up with ideas, right? It's important for us to empower the entire organization to be able to innovate, right? And I know it's become a culture today, to run hackathons and to be able to listen to their voices, listen to ideas. And it's also important for organizations to keep the process of choosing the best ideas transparent to the entire organization, so people know how exactly something is chosen, right? So you spoke about Indrani and the alignment with your purpose and your North Star, as they call it, right? So that repeatedly, needs to come up for people. And also, sometimes when you're a large organization, you tend to sort of move into that complacent area, and sometimes we just become too proud to accept some smaller players, right? You are sort of, hey, they're just starting out and you don't know, and maybe that particular company is actually increasing the market share, it's eating into your market share, maybe not directly, but over a period of time. So never be complacent, be able to, like Sir said, humility even from a business standpoint, right? Never underestimate any of the players. Try to learn, try to partner like some of the bigger organizations do, like how Meta, Facebook, now WhatsApp is there, Instagram is there. They didn't start out like that, right? So try to partner. If you're not able to build, try to partner, try to make them part of yourself. Innovation has to become part of your DNA. Today there's no choice, there's no two ways about it. And hear from everybody is what I would say, and keep the process transparent.
Thank you so much. If you could add, Rakesh.
So it's a very pertinent topic again, because I work for a company which takes a lot of pride in innovation. So Xerox, for instance, has got, if my numbers are correct, more than 50,000 patents, about 25,000 of them still active. So Xerox, obviously, xerography was the process through which you make photo. Obviously, this was invented by Xerox. I'll give you two more examples. Probably you guys are aware. One for sure. The Ethernet, or the Ethernet, based on which accent you use. The E-wala Ethernet was invented by Xerox, which basically laid the foundation for what we call internet today. So that was invented by Xerox. Another key invention which pretty much everybody uses today, I think some of the folks on the desks are using, is the computer mouse. I even didn't know that we invented as an organization computer mouse, but then we went up without patenting it. We let it go to one of the big computer companies of the world today. So they patented it and then brought it to the market. But so the point I'm trying to make is, and then I think Srimati made a valid point, there is no other way out than to have innovation at the part of your DNA. If you look around, most of the successful companies, of not just today, but for the last 5-10 decades, had innovation in their DNA, had innovation at the core of whatever they were doing. I mean, I'm talking about some really good company examples like 3M, for instance. I mean, you look at examples that were shared today. Asian Paints, getting into a proposition of painting your house is actually an innovative strategy. It's nothing aligned with what traditionally they've been doing. A lot of companies, are relying on innovation for the next, leg of their growth journey. And that is the key differentiator between what would actually pay a path for the next couple of decades for a company today. Because we were talking about knowledge earlier. Rahul was explaining as to what's important, why is it important for us to, retain knowledge, and then we were talking about talent as well. what are we going to use that knowledge and talent for is what is going to define your future path. And innovation would actually serve as the basis of it. In terms of if you're able to innovate not just within your own category, within your own product market, if you're able to innovate to a point where you're able to make your company or make your organization agile enough to meet a customer's demand in or before time at a cost lower or at expected and of a quality of expected or better. That is where the differentiators would lie and would make the game different for each organization.
Thank you, very valuable insights. And how I see is like there are two kinds of innovation or companies that approach innovation in a couple of ways. In fact, there could be more, but a couple that come to my mind. One, as you mentioned, are like the disruptors, right? They identify a market, something called, I would like to give a couple of examples from financial services. Smaller players, but definitely disruptors. One is Navi. I'm sure everyone would have heard, started by Sachin Bansal, co-founder of Flipkart. And it started as, making financial, products accessible to the masses, right? Like, across being the disruptor really in this market. Everything end-to-end is digital. So you don't have to submit any application for getting any financial loan, right? So that is one. The other that comes to mind is Cred. Right, so Cred started as a credit card rewards program really, and is now the largest buy now pay later lending solution, right? So those are like the disruptors. But then there would be companies which are humble enough, as you mentioned, who would want to understand that, okay, fine, there could be many fintech players like Axis Bank. It has I think it has a thing called innovation pod. They have an innovation pod where they invite startups and fintech companies to partner with them on innovative solutions. So they've just identified that there could be something that we are not aware of, where a smaller player having specialization can really help us. So there could be various ways in which companies really approach innovation.
If I can just add to just what you said. Many of you might know, right? I mean, Google is a great example, right? So they make it a point that they spend 20% of their time in innovation, right? So it becomes part of your routine. I think it automatically comes.
Very valuable. Thank you. Now I come to yourself, Subramanian. So strategic alignment is crucial. Especially larger organizations. How can companies ensure that their strategic objectives remain aligned with their agility goals as the market continues to evolve?
Yeah. See, strategic alignment, when you say, I think let us begin from starting there, right? It's also something that is tying to the mission and purpose of the organization. That is where your strategy is going. Now the point is, how have you defined your vision and purpose? If you as an organization are going to begin by defining your vision and purpose as a very, very short-term, myopic view, then your strategic or the agility the changes that are going to happen are definitely going to take you to different courses, which is one of the boundaries of even strategic alignment. But the moment you have a very well-defined destination to say that this is where I want to get to, or this is the kind of purpose my organization serves, you will always find how to find opportunity in the changes that are happening to still achieve the kind of purpose that you want to get. So when you say strategic, when you say agility, strategic agility, you're talking about how do I change myself to capture the opportunity that is being presented by the changes around us. It still points to one point that you earlier said, Nidhi, is to say that how do you still remain true to your core? How do you still remain true to your purpose? So when you say strategic alignment, you are talking about that non-changing core. So I view these two as that, right? So strategic agility is about the external factor that keeps adapting to what is changing and trying to make the best use of it. But strategic alignment is about that inner core that is still true, that still you're holding, and each of this external thing is somewhere leading to that internal core and continuously strengthening that internal core. So if your internal core is not very well defined, if your internal core is not deep demotivated enough. I think Shriman, you made the point of the 240-year organizations. Today, if you take a list of how many organizations are really 100 plus, and there are a lot of studies that get done on this, that itself is a very, very interesting area for you to look through. Sustainable organizations are not that easy to make. What makes them sustainable is this, is the fact that you have aligned your agility to strategic alignment. You have used everything outside as an advantage of yourself and trying to strengthen your core. So all sustainable organizations always go through this aspect of Phoenix, right? You go, but if there are things that are changing, okay, things are good, but again a new aspect emerges. So you're constantly, the point that one of my co-panelists also made on reinventing. So I think my answer is going to be a combination of many points that we already discussed, and just bringing them together to say that agility and alignment, they go hand in hand. Provided your purpose and vision is strongly rooted, you are standing on a firm ground, then you can really make your agility for alignment.
That's such a perfect way of now concluding this panel, I think, Subramanian. Thank you, very well put. And I would also take an opportunity to thank all of yourselves for your sharing your insights, your rich experience, and of course being so candid with real life examples of how we can really, establish strategic flexibility in these ever evolving markets. So thank you for the audience. That's where the main learning is, right? If we can answer any of your questions. Yeah, so over to the students. Please raise your hand. Yeah, I can see your hand raised.
Good afternoon. I am Yashan. So my question is, in today's scenario, what is the right way to promote open communication for rapid learning and flexibility in organization?
Thank you so much. Rahul, can I ask you to step in? Thank you.
So if I'm, can't see, yeah. If I'm understanding you correctly, you're talking about how the open communication and the learning helps, is it right? Okay. So open communication definitely helps you, as Srimati also mentioned, right, to understand how you're performing and taking that feedback into consideration in streamlining the way you are looking for you are preparing your strategy, right? So it definitely helps. We should look forward to it. And learning from these communications is going to fuel up your strategy to achieve your goals, right? So one example I can give you in that, right? So one of the leading contact center company, they had developed a chatbot, so which everybody is doing based on the AI. So they come up with a scenario that the FAQs on their website is actually very old, and customers are not learning anything, or they are not able to understand what needs to write. So what they did is they started downloading the data from the chatbot, where the customers ask those questions regularly, use that to update their FAQs, which actually resulted in less incidents to be raised, and customers started getting the information which they were looking for. So aligning it to the real life example and creating that platform or the innovation which to help your customers and reduce the incident rate as well, so which overall help the company. So that's where open communication is important. You should listen and then use that to innovate your strategy. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. We can see another raised hand on the corner there.
Thank you, panelists. So my question is, how can organizations address resistance to change while embedding agility in their processes?
Sorry, can you repeat?
Yeah. So how can organizations address resistance to change while embedding agility in their processes?
You would like to take that, Rajesh?
I think if you heard what Rahul just explained, that's the key. There's nothing beyond open, consistent and persistent communication. Every time we as an organization go through a change, as a leader it's my responsibility first to begin with that the communication is through and through. Every person is important. So what's important when we're going through a change or a shift is that we are successful at the end of it, right? What we achieve, what we are aiming to achieve. And making a plan, executing it would not still suffice till the person at the right end of the spectrum is clear about the what and how of what we are doing, right? And the why of why we are doing it. And so it's very important, it's paramount, it's the only key to success through a change is open, persistent and consistent communication. I can't think of anything that would help you better through a change, but unless somebody else has more insights.
Let me try and answer part of the question. So, everybody asks this internal question, what's in it for me? Right? And as long as you've answered that question successfully and convinced yourself that here's what is in it for me, because if I do this, if I take this step, life is going to get better for not just for me, but for my organization, for my family, for whatever. And I see all of you guys come here. Some of you are from Chennai, some of you from wherever, Assam. Why are you here? It's a difficult piece, right? Yeah? There's something in it for you at the end of the tunnel, right? That's why you're here. I think you answered the question.
So I'll just extend what Sir said. It's one of the pertinent components of the communication, at least what I do. I always tend to use this particular approach while explaining as to why we are doing something new. What's in it? If I'm able to answer what's in it for me, for you, you are aligned. And that's exactly what. So communication and then making sure that you address this important key aspect, because we all are driven by motivation, right? Be it positive, negative. And unless and until I'm clear about, so I may get to understand, okay, what Xerox is doing today. So we are undergoing through a massive reinvention. It's a 3-year program, things are being thrown out of the window and left, right and center every day. We are going through a lot of changes in our processes as well. The good part was when the company announced the reinvention program last year, they made sure that they went through different sessions of different groups and different layers of management as well, where the CEO of the Xerox, along with a couple of board members as well, kind of backing him up, not answering anything though, but he came to sessions and explained as to why we need to do this. And given the limited audience we were in that session, they touched upon that aspect of what is it in it for me. So I know why is it important for me to make the reinvention successful now, because I know what I'm going to get out of it. It's going to make my job easier, it's going to make my team's job easier, and it's going to add more value to the service sector that I support, which is the digitization service. So I know the why, so if you know the why, the pursuit becomes much easier.
Yeah, I know someone has been waiting this side to ask a question.
Hello, my name is Sumit Bansal. So my question is to Ramesh. When you are talking about automotive industry, so one of the favorite sparks in my mind is that rolling stone gathers no moss. So when we are talking about agility, so where we have to draw a line so that we can gather more from that agility rather than disadvantageous part.
It's a difficult question to answer, but I'll try and answer that. I'll reflect back on what Subramanian said. If you remain true to your core, pivoting to anything shouldn't actually deviate you from achieving your sustainable organizational goals. So if you know as a company what your core values are, she touched upon Pepsi as well, where Indra Nooyi was trying to emphasize on health drinks and all. But then at any given point in time, I'm absolutely certain that she wasn't deviating from the core of what PepsiCo wanted to do. So till the time you're true to your core of why you are existing as an organization. What exactly do you want to, cater to the market, or what exactly do you want to do? What exactly do you want to accomplish as an ongoing entity? I think there's no dearth of pivots that you should experiment with. Not all pivots, not all explorations will yield positive results. Lenskart, and numerous other examples, and that's where a role of a leader comes in. Our job is to take the decision. We don't know when we're taking a decision if it's going to serve the purpose, if it would be right, if it would be wrong. We go with the best possible judgment, best possible data to back our decisions, but at the same time, we still have to, and I'll accept it on everybody's behalf, we are also anxious at certain points. We are also, not so sure if we actually should take the decision, but, and he rightly pointed out about Tata's quote, and I love that quote as well. We don't take right and wrong decisions. A leader's job is actually to take a decision and make all possible efforts to make that decision right. Till a point where it kind of becomes that, yes, you made a move, so just stop there. But yeah, so remain true to your core.
And just to add to what Rakesh said, I think none of the organizations and no one of us have unlimited resources, right? Everyone, whether it's time, so all of us are short on time, right? But we prioritize, right? We run a sense of experimentation. Let me spend 10 minutes of this. If this is yielding results, then I will invest more time, right? So it's always a tough call, but of course, given the limited resources, you always have to take a call. Yeah, just building on to what Rakesh said. Thank you. Yeah. Any other questions? That's it. Thank you so much. You've been a very, very patient.
So, due to paucity of time, we won't be able to take any questions further. So, kindly reach out to all the respective panelists via LinkedIn. Thank you to our insightful and engaging panelists for responding to all the questions with alacrity. You can now have a seat in the audience and enjoy the conclave further. We would now like to invite Mr. Ayush Kumar Jha to conclude the conclave.
Good afternoon, respected dignitaries, esteemed faculty members, and fellow students. I, Ayush Kumar Jha, am honored to once again extend a heartfelt welcome to everyone present at the 8th Annual Operations and Strategy Conclave, Sankshetra, with our strategy theme, Competing Agility, Strategic Flexibility, and Fast-Moving Markets, being explored so thoughtfully by our esteemed guest speakers. We get a deeper understanding of how agility and strategic flexibility are imperative for success in fast-moving markets. Organizations must adopt innovative approaches to adapt swiftly to changing conditions, address emerging challenges, and stay ahead in an increasingly competitive landscape. I take this moment to express our sincere gratitude to all the guest speakers for their profound knowledge and experiences. I am confident that today's discussions have provided us with plenty to reflect on, insights to act upon, and invaluable lessons to carry forward. To recapture some of the highlights of the event, the keynote address delivered by Mr. Dev Gupta was truly inspiring. Drawing from his vast experience, he delved into business continuity plan and emphasized focusing on expansion and growth in times of disruption, along with pursuing humility and perseverance in leadership, offering a roadmap for organizations to navigate navigate challenges with agility and foresight. Your remarkable insights have left us on a rich sir. We were highlighted by Ms. Nidhi Sethi, who, along with expertly guiding the engaging discussion, emphasized data-driven decision making, giving the example of Netflix. She also emphasized aligning vision, clear communication, and purpose. Your expertise was truly appreciated, ma'am. Following this, Mr. Subramanian Chidambaran shared his expertise on how business instinct is more important than data analytics in decision making, and giving the example of green hydrogen, emphasized how sometimes it is better to wait than make hasty decisions, highlighting actionable takeaways for all of us. Thank you for your valuable contribution, sir. Next, Mr. Rakesh Narak, and giving the example of automotive industries, emphasized how companies in India are experimenting with flexible agility, shedding light on how strategic flexibility can foster resilience in dynamic markets. We are truly grateful for your valuable input, sir. Expanding further, Mr. Rahul Global captivated us with his perspective on growing internet talent for core competencies and outsourcing to offload peak workloads, adapting hybrid models. His fresh approach and unique outlook brought immense value to the discussion. Your guidance has been most helpful, sir. Finally, Ms. Srimati Sridharan continued the panel discussion with an engaging talk on how knowledge also comes from customers and how organizations should utilize the knowledge to make quick decisions. She also emphasized how leadership can impact organizational culture. Thank you for your time and wisdom, ma'am. On behalf of the entire Amritsar community, I extend my deepest gratitude to all the guest speakers for their invaluable contributions. You have not only broadened our perspectives, but also set a benchmark for the quality of discourse at this conclave. Thank you.
Thank you, Ayush. Now, we invite you to indulge in a brief but captivating glimpse of today's event, diligently captured and crafted by the Media and Public Relations Committee and 50mm, the Photography Club. Now, I would request Ms. Toshi Seth, Junior ISC Coordinator, to propose the vote of thanks.
On behalf of every individual involved in organizing this conclave, we would like to extend our heartfelt vote of thanks to all of you for making this conclave a resounding success. Our sincere gratitude extends to our esteemed panelists and keynote speaker. Your willingness to share valuable knowledge and experiences has enriched us all. We are truly grateful for the profound insights and wisdoms you have imparted. To our Students Affairs Chair, Students Affairs Office, and all the honorable faculty members, we extend our heartfelt gratitude for your unwavering support and guidance. We are truly fortunate to have you as our mentors. To the IT team, thank you for ensuring the smooth running of the event. Your hard work is appreciated. We also extend our heartfelt gratitude to Strategem, the Strategy and Consulting Club of IIM Amritsar. Thank you for your efforts in setting a relevant and engaging context for the event. A special vote of thanks to their faculty anchor, Professor Santosh Kumar. Your unwavering support and guidance throughout the planning and execution stages have been instrumental in hosting this event. The success of this conclave owes much to the collaborative efforts of the Media and Public Relations Committee, IIM Amritsar. We appreciate the efforts of the Placements Committee of IIM Amritsar for maintaining the necessary decorum at the conclave. We are immensely grateful to 50mm, the Photography Club of IIM Amritsar,